Hey, Randy here. Shall we make a game? So yesterday we got this to the point at which we can kind of mouse over these and they, light up a bit. They kind of look like they're interactive, but they don't actually do anything when you click on them. So today I'm hoping to get this to the point at which you can launch into other scenarios from the screen. However, first of all, there's a bug that we need to fix, which is, I bring the console up here, and I go to storage and I reset the game state. Okay, let's see if we can figure out what the special occasion might be here. So what we did yesterday was we reworked how object selection worked, and we know, well, we've got a pretty good idea that that system works because, creating and destroying selectables is happening every time one of these dialog boxes appears and, disappears. And let's have a look at what happens when the background disappears, because the background disappearing is kind of like a tell something's gone wrong. Right. What happened there, it was the exact moment the angel grabbed the protagonist and backflipped out, which is I think that's the point at which, yeah, that's the point at which we actually destroy the entity for the protagonist. Okay, so we also added selectables to the mesh objects, which might mean that we introduced a bug. It might be incorrectly cleaning this up when it comes to... yeah, there it is. There it is. It is using the component ID rather than the... Yes, I call it the sort of generic component ID rather than the mesh ID when looking up the selectable component to destroy. So I bet if I fix that and go back to the game, give that a moment to build, fix my windows so they actually fit on the screen, that'd be good, wouldn't it? And I'm just going to clear the game state again. And we'll just walk back through that sequence and make sure it no longer happens. Yeah, no longer happens. We fixed that bug. Let's just make sure that the thing where we couldn't select on the final screen has been resolved. It's kind of cool seeing that just popping down there with the game state. Yeah, that's fixed that bug. Yeah, so we were definitely deleting the wrong selectable object. It was getting into some kind of really strange state. It was probably like sampling the position of an object that no longer exists. Okay, let's check that in. That's a good quick win. I was kind of hoping it'd be that simple. Fixed deletion of meshes, deleting a random selectable component. Okay, so next up, we need to make the scene kind of work. So I'm going to add the angel and the protagonist into the corners, and I'm thinking when you mouse over one of these, it should display like the name up here. But there are going to be some people playing this on systems that don't have a cursor. They don't have the ability to hover over things. So there needs to be a confirmation step where the angel kind of goes, oh, you want to go to X or Y. So, where's my world map? There it is. So let's bring in the angel and the protagonist into this script. They're already in here, but they don't have entity IDs, so I'll make them now. Oh, I've actually got them right here. Yeah, and that map base should just be map, as I've put them all into the same entity. This is always one of the things with like an entity component system, right? It's like what's the are these separate entities because they are separately interactive, or are they separate components of the same entity because they all have the same transform? And in this case, I've gone for the latter. It's one of the things when I was playing around with Unity, I could never quite get my sort of head around. It's like, how much of this should I be building as a game object hierarchy, and how much of it should be a hierarchy in my code? I don't really know. Okay, let's create our. Oh, I need to hide all these. These are basically all the event callbacks that tie the do all this kind of thing. Change the mesh out whenever you hover over things. Okay, so next up we need to actually create our game objects for our protagonist and the angel. So that's in probably go in here. Yeah, this will do. Yep, I'll take that. And this introduction rooftop bit, that should be world map. I was thinking about this because I'm going to end up with some really annoying kind of like lengthy names for things, and I'm like, would it actually make a lot more sense to just call it, like EF static, because that would actually shorten a lot of these local variable names considerably. And you'd never have a collision if everything that was static was prefix static. I might well do that at some point. Okay, so that's the protagonist in place. Next up, let's put the angel in place as well. They're going to be overlapping for the moment, but that's fine. Figure out where to put them in a second. I'm still typing angle rather than angel. What is even happening now? Okay, so let's just make sure that builds first. Nope, does not build because I have redefined this. Yeah, okay, that already existed. We didn't need that again. And just while that's compiling, I'm going to open Blender, and we're just going to find a good spot in the scene to put that, put those two characters in. Let's just unhide everything. If you please. There we go. Now, so we're going to keep in mind here is that this map is actually positioned differently in the game to in here, because I have to reset the positioning. Otherwise, the it applies the positioning in Blender when it exports, which we don't really want. It ends up double transforming it effectively. So here it is. This is the position we're actually going to have it at. I gotta say, like, there was some challenge in making it so that my coordinate space perfectly matches Blender's, but it's proven really worth it. Just having being able to directly transplant numbers between the two. So we want to be roughly there. So it's going to be like there-ish. So it's going to be a protagonist is going to be there and that. And for the rest of rotation, I think that's probably going to be right. And I think we can probably just mirror this entire thing to position the angel. We don't need to put that much thought into it. Let's just put him like a third of a meter off the deck though, just because he's meant to be flying, And let's see how that looks in engine. Oh no, they're not speaking to each other. I rotated them incorrectly. Yeah, if I'm gonna have the angel do like a confirmation step, I'm gonna have to change the camera angle just so you can see. Well, so we can put a text box above his head. Okay, I'm actually gonna bring the angel in slightly. Because the fact he's hovering above the ground kind of means that you can't see his yeah. I really should put like a drop shadow under these guys just to help plant them in the scene, because that just looks like he's absolutely massive and further into the corner. It doesn't look like he's higher up. Let's move him back a bit more, just a touch. There we go, that'll do, I think. Okay, next up, we need to start defining more kind of parameters for these buildings. So let's give them all names. And I'm going to name them all to do for now, because I'm probably only going to get 1 or 2 scenarios done in this. Actually, there we go. That's very catchy name for a building, I know. Okay, so next question is how much are you going to display text here? Because, I could add a tooltip feature to the engine, so you can have like a tooltip on the cursor. It's not going to be generally useful for the games I want to make with this engine longer term, because they're going to be more sort of like pointer based than necessarily cursor based. Do I have? I don't really have like a render callback, do I? I could make a text component for displaying text in the scene, kind of like an image component, but rendered each frame. I could do that. Don't know if I want to. As long as I don't use it too often. Because like the performance wouldn't be great on that. You know, doing like the full text layout every frame would be that'd be madness. It wouldn't make any sense, and it also wouldn't really be able to accept dynamic text. You know, say like anything with kind of like a replace section, it wouldn't be able to support that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to statically allocate an image in here. Something that I wouldn't do very often, I don't think, but I'm actually going to just create an image here. I think I've got a color only, and yeah, I've got this helper that makes an empty image. I remember now. Let's make sure I'm bringing the image helper, I'm going to need it. Yeah, so you specified the name, number of rows, number of columns, so something like this will do. And let's have a look at my font. How big is my font? I don't remember. It's quite small, isn't it? Yeah, it's only 7 pixels, so 10 should do it probably. And in regards to width, say roughly that wide, it's about 150 pixels, that'll do. We're not bound here by any kind of, you know, oh, it must be, you know, power of 2 or anything like that. We can do what we like. Why is this an error? What's the error here? Do I have to build it to find out? There is no error, it's just the compiler. Well, it's just Visual Studio Code not quite understanding what I'm doing there, I think. Fair. It is pretty weird. Yeah, it actually, behind the scenes, it actually makes an array of pixels and then kind of like a wrapping struct for them. Okay, so we can have it so we can actually have it so it only populates it once whenever you hover the building. So we can clear the color, and there's a nice handy feature in here where I can just hand it the image, and then I can hand it a completely transparent color. Let's make sure I'm bringing the color helper because I will be using that here too. Right, and then oops, front? No, I mean font, obviously. So then I should be able to just use the, I'm going to want to import that font again, whatever it's called. Not using the entity helpers and get rid of those. Small, that's what it's called. I can't believe I like blanked on that for that long. Okay, so we should be able to just grab the small font and Then we should be able to grab the name from here. Nice and easy. And then we should be able to layer that text onto the image we just created, just like this. So I'm going to center it on both axes. And I'm going to place it in the middle of the image. So I'm going to take the width and height and I'm going to halve it. Where's the color? Oh, I might just nick the color out of here because it's very situational. I might end up just using it kind of here. There you go, idle text color. We'll just steal that from there. Maybe if this is kind of like a more serious project, to have like a separate kind of theming file and kind of take all these colors from there. And the destination is the name image. Okay. And next, what we need to do is we need to actually we need to store a reference to the image component we're displaying it on. Man, what a mouthful, right? And I'm going to add a little helper in here. It's going to be wordy just like all the others were. And it's just going to check that, and if it exists, it's just going to delete it there and then. Right. That should do it. That should do it. Oh, the deactivated thing might need to get rid of it as well. Okay, I'm going to take all this current code here that's actually creating it, and I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put it in a separate helper method up here so I can reuse that too. Yeah, because the kind of complexity with that is you can hold down the mouse button and then leave, drag it out of the building and drag it back in which case it should probably still display the text. And so yeah, we've populated the image, and now we need actually to create an image component to display it. Do I have the image component helper in here? No, I don't. So yeah, this had a lot of parameters, didn't it? So we're going to attach it to the building entity. Sorry, the map entity. Yeah, there it is. Doesn't really help that the the file has map in the name, so everything has the word map in it. I didn't really narrow it down that much. Doesn't have a parent component ID, so we can put that to none. And we don't care about being able to select it. And and we don't care about being able to click on it. And here we go, we need to give it the image, so give it that. And we actually want to because the origin of the image is the top left corner, we actually want to offset it by half its width and height so it's centered on the point in 3D space we're about to give it. And then we have its location relative to the map. So let me just figure out where this is going to be. It's going to be like, let's get the calculator out. I know this is like literally subtracting it 1.5 from 3, but should I get like exactly where it copied the number of meters as well? Thank you, calculator. Okay. Wait, can I do that? I think I just did that kind of like from JavaScript sort of JavaScript like brain fungus. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll just pass in an array. It's like, no, you can't do that. This isn't JavaScript. This is much better than JavaScript. How high off the ground do we want this? Probably about there. So let's go to 1.2 meters. So what we can do is do this. Just make some temporary memory. Kind of. I think that's on the stack. That will probably do, and then we can just pass that in down there. We're only reading it once. That should be fine. Oh, what didn't it like? Oh yeah. I'm calling into this. I'm not actually telling it which building we've actually hovered over. Oops. Okay. Let's see if this works. Oh, I don't think it's actually cleaning them up. Okay. Right. Yeah, we ran out of components there because it's not actually keeping a record of which component it actually created. So it was actually making a stack of like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of image components, and it ran out of them. So that seems to be working nicely. Okay, I'm going to move it down a bit though. That's a bit too high up. That's about right. That's where we want it roughly. Okay, so next up, we need to make it so when you click on these, and I'm probably going to, yeah, I'm going to put a script ID in here. And that means I'm going to need one for kind of, you know, none. Oh, I guess I can make it just go back to the world map. Yeah, because you're never going to have one of these go to the world map. Yeah. How's it going, man? I should make one of these actually do something. Hey, that's good. That's good. That's definitely what you should be doing on a Sunday, assuming it's Sunday wherever you are. Okay, so let's make one of these just go back to the start of the game just so we can make sure this works. Okay, well, I technically correct then. Okay, so we need to make it so that the camera kind of swoops in and has a look at the angel so we can kind of like get an idea of course, we can put a text box over his head. Oh, which axis am I rotating on? There we go. So kind of to rotate it a bit more towards the protagonist, just so you can kind of see that they're sort of the one kind of like driving this, but we're still kind of looking at the angel because we're kind of directing an answer to him. Okay, that should work. So it's going to be the click handler, which is this one. Set up a fixed camera, and then I'm just going to copy all these coordinates over. Yeah, this is one of the places where I wouldn't have to do this if I was using an off-the-shelf game engine, as I would have positioned this camera in the engine and not just in a totally different piece of software. But at least my coordinate system matches, and I can just copy these over. Oh, I've got to convert these into radians now. Wait, yesterday that didn't happen. Yesterday I did not get this converter. What did I do differently? Oh, I don't know. It's just the software entity responsible for DuckDuckGo just manipulating me, trying to make me feel like I'm crazy. Okay, let's see if that looks the right way. Oh, did I not change the type of this? No, it's I didn't actually change the type of this, but it's still kind of like, oh, you want a you want some text? I was like, no, not really. Oh, you can still mouse over them on the screen. That wasn't intentional. I don't really have a good way of turning that off. I'm going to do that. Because whereas Unity has like the ability to disable a component, I haven't thought that far ahead. So next thing you need to do is make it so that if the script for that building is kind of dummied out, it only sets up some of the callbacks. So yeah, so we can just null out these callbacks if we're if it's not available. And it should make it light up and display some text, but do nothing else. Okay, kind of jank that the text disappears, but whatever, I guess. Okay, so let's make that one the movie theater. And actually define a script for it, that'd be a good idea. You're gonna like, you gonna sort that out for your code, or if I've done something wrong here? No, it just took a moment. So I was just looking at all this just monstrous generated C code and going, I don't know what the heck to do with all this. Okay, so I need to put the dialog box over this guy's head. I'm just going to again refer to previous code because I don't remember how to do this. Yeah, make a list component, and yeah, that's right. We can just put some text in there for. Oh yeah, I'm going to need two of them. I'm going to need one over the protagonist's head to say yes or no, and one of them over his head is kind of like a basic dialog box. How's my click callback? There it is. Yeah, we like long names around here. Okay, and this bit here, this is where kind of like the sort of air quotes templating system comes in, because I can sort of like write some text and then write some more and write some more. So I can write some in, and then I can go get the text from the building. This way I don't have to write a text formatting system, because I can just call the write callback multiple times and it kind of buffers up text internally. It'll do. It's cursed, but it'll do. Oh, and I haven't put one over the protagonist head yet, so it's complaining about that. And let's make this nice and simple for now. Let's just write yes and no and they don't do anything. Let's see what that looks like. Did I change the header file? Yes, I did. I changed the script list. Parallel build, please. Just pray we don't get an error message, otherwise it'll all be chopped up. Feels like something that must be solvable, right? On the kind of like make tooling side, you know, buffer the error output out somewhere and then only display it if there's actually an error. So this is nothing. If I click on this. Hey, that worked first time. I'm actually kind of shocked. Okay. Probably gonna need to actually store which one you selected somewhere. I'm just trying to think of a good way of like disabling the selection or something. It's not occurred to me yet. There's gonna be a good way of doing it. It's just not occurred to me yet. So should be able to drop that into there, drop that into there. I am going to need to give it some advance warning. I'm actually going to be declaring those because C is hella annoying. And at that point, in both cases, I'm going to delete the lists I just made. Accidentally got some code along with the variable name, whatever, I guess. And when you say no, it needs to put the camera back to where it was. Where did I do that? Oh, it was in here. Right. Yeah, it's got linear interpolation, so it's not just a value I can copy over. Okay, and that's where we're going to be ending up. So that's the one we're going to be taking, both cases. Clap this back into one line, given we've just shortened it a lot by removing all the linear interpolation. Okay. Say no and the game crashes, my favorite. Indirect call signature mismatch. Ha. The question is, it's probably deleting one of these is breaking everything. Which one is it? No, no, it's not. Oh, hang on. It's because the arguments of this function don't match up. Is it that there's no component ID on that callback? It'd be nice if we could get more information out of this, or if like the C compiler could at least warn me that I'm passing a. Oh no. Oh, yeah. Oh, hang on. Yeah. It'd be nice if the C compiler could at least warn me that I'd passed I'd statically passed a function pointer to a parameter that just would never match up. That'd be nice if it could tell me that, but I guess not. Okay, I can't really tell if it's actually removing those dialog boxes, but I'm going to assume it is. Oh, I've just found another bug. If you click it too quickly, yeah, it's still activatable. How do I fix this? Okay, I need to think about this. Now, the quickest and hackiest, dirtiest way of doing this is to just not show the map until it's in position. But I don't really want to do that. Or maybe just hide it while it's meant to be off screen. Okay, I'm just going to save my progress up to here because we've actually implemented quite a few nice things in not a lot of time. And yeah, I need to think about this, how I'm going to make this, not clickable. Because one of the things is sort of by design, a selectable component doesn't really have any controls once you've created it. The idea was that it was going to be something like a menu where you'd be very rarely disabling it. I don't really want like a switch at the entity level because it's possible you want to switch some off but not others that share a transform. So I guess I could just put a flag in here saying whether it's enabled or not. Yeah, I'm going to do that. The question is, here's the age-old question about API design. Do I make one function where you pass it a bool saying whether it's enabled or not, or do I make two separate functions? I'm thinking I make one, and the reason for that is if you just want like an on and an off function, you can just call the same function with on and off. But if you wanted it to be kind of able to pass in a value and you've got two separate functions, you can't do that. So what do I call this function? Because it's not going to be called enable, it's not going to be called disable, it's not going to be called toggle because that implies it just flips whatever state it's currently in. Do I call it kind of control? No, that's a stupid name for it. Update. I just call it update. To hell with it. I'm going to try and copy actually the text from the mesh component for this. Okay. Yep, that should be good. Try to figure if there's anything else I want to do with this. Oh, I might want to make it so that when you're creating one, you can pass in whether it's selectable or not. But in 90% of cases, you want to create them activatable. And this means adding parameters to everything. That, I'm just going to have to do it, aren't I? There's no way around this. Am I bringing in the bool header? No, I'm not. Let's do that now. So again, C is a pretty primitive language and it doesn't have built-in Boolean types. Man, I'm getting way too many arguments on this. Sorry, parameters, they're not arguments until you specify them. Let's go around here and implement this. This should be dead easy to implement. We're just going to have a flag in here saying whether or not something is enabled. And initialize that when we create it. And then this here is just going to, we're going to have this, we've got this existing code up here to, yeah, so this basically deactivates a component, right? You know, if it's currently being interacted with, it turn, oh, actually, no, this code needs to be different. This code, oh, right. What if someone tries to disable a selectable component while it's being clicked on? Is that going to cause any weird behavior? Because it could do, feasibly. I have to think about that one. Let's get the index out of here. Yeah, so every component has kind of like a meta, which is sort of a so just like an arbitrary number that the implementer of the component basically uses to like store, say, indexes into its internal arrays, whatever. If this game engine had an allocator, it would probably be a pointer to, you know, the data that it uses. I mean, it could technically still be, I just haven't done that. Right. It should still call things like the unhover and deactivate kind of callback when you, I just thought actually this gets really complicated. This gets really complicated because you could re-enable it again when it unhovers. Okay. All right. Something to be good think about this. What kind of edge cases am I working against here? Because like the actual one where you're enabling the object again, that one's trivial. It's dead simple. Yeah, I only really have to do things if it's not enabled, because that's where I have to kind of like, you know, toggle it off if it's toggled on. So yeah, we make a record of whether or not it was hovering or activated, and then I can't clear this flag just yet. And the reason I can't do that is that it's how we detect if the component's been deleted while it was during the callback. Oh my god, this gets complicated. Okay, so if it was hovering, then we unhover it. Yep. And then if yeah, we do this kind of thing here where we kind of like check whether it's if it still exists, if the deletion code hasn't reset the kind of pointer we have to it, and it was activating. Actually, that said, I don't think it would ever be hovering and activating at the same time. I don't think that's actually possible, so I don't think I'm actually going to handle that case. I'm just making life difficult for myself, as per usual. Okay, that might work. Now, of course, I need to actually adjust, say, the other components and make it so they actually pass that information down. That shouldn't take super long. Oh, I am actually... Oh, but the other thing I'm going to have to do, and this is where it gets kind of awkward, is I need to be able to... Yeah, because like I'm not going to have a direct reference to this selectable component. I'm going to have a reference to the mesh or the image that kind of like is the parent of it. So both of them unfortunately need functions to pass that information down. You have to go like, this is your new state. That's kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. We might find a better way to do it later on, like perhaps some kind of way of being able to like go, I know that you're selectable underneath, and I just want you to do this for me. Okay, let's go back into the image component and now this is going to light up the error board like a Christmas tree. We're going to have so many errors to go and fix. Make like an API change like this to like one of the most used components in the entire engine. It's going to be it's going to take a few minutes to get through all those compile errors. And like I said earlier, I'm going to need the ability to pass down the enable state. Changes the selectability. Is that a word? No, it's not. What's the actual word? Oh my, this is quite an overloaded term. I need to be careful while I search from time to time, don't I? Changes whether a component can be selected. There we go. And then we just need to replicate this on the... Oh, I need to rename it first. Replicate this on the opaque map. Oh, yeah, and eventually we're gonna have 3 of these. How did I do that? What on earth did I just do? Eventually we're gonna have a transparent... Oh, wait, it also needs to go into the animated mesh component. Oh my god, it's going everywhere. It's spreading like a virus. What is happening? I wonder. 'Cause I remember when they introduced async into I think C sharp, they kind of like just described it as kind of like you put it in one part of your code base, it kind of spread through the whole thing. And it's like I imagine there was like some marketing like exec going like you can't say it's like a virus. Man, this is going to get past through like 3 layers of indirection if you do it to an opaque mesh component. And we are legitimately going to have cases where opaque mesh components are selectable. Sorry, animated opaque mesh components are selectable. All right, okay. Next up, I need to actually create the real functions for these. For the moment, just leave them blank. We'll come back to those later. Oh yeah, I'm also going to have to make it so when you're creating an animated one, you also have to pass down whether or not it's initially selectable. Whew, there's a lot of changes to be able to make a building deselectable, huh? I think we're almost there though. I think we're almost there. And given I've called it selectable everywhere else, I'm going to just rename it in here so it's consistent. Almost there. And yeah, fair enough. I was like, is Visual Studio Code's like rename, refactor thing going to be able to do anything with that? And the answer is kinda. Okay, so now we've done that. Did I rename it up here? No, I didn't. Let's just find every instance of the words. Oh, there's only those two left. Do we have any references to enabled? Yep, we've still got quite a few. Let's get rid of all those. Let's get it nice and consistent. It's a certain sci-fi reviewer once said, at least be consistent with your nonsense. It's a rule I live by. Mixing up words in my head. No, don't do that. Yeah, I want to see if I can get this to the point at which we're going to like different scenes by the end of today. I don't know how long I'm going to stream for today. Probably not much over an hour, just because I kind of overdid it yesterday. I definitely paid for it in the afternoon. Okay, so yep, are we importing a ball into here? No, we're not. We should do that. I'm kind of tempted to make my own Boolean types, because why not? At least for things like, say, you know, like a packed array of them, that kind of thing, you probably get a lot more efficient than the kind of 1 byte per bool thing they have going on. Right. Let the errors rain from the sky. There we go. There's one. Ah. I already have an update for the image, so I'm going to change that to update image. And I'm also going to do the same thing for this. Yeah, because I've got like existing methods like set mesh and set. Yeah, I really should be being more consistent with my language here. What does it mean philosophically to have a selectable component that is indeed not selectable? That's quite a Man, we're gonna make the compiler so angry today, and I'm here for it. Come on, compiler, give me that wall of red. Oops, make. No, just make once. Okay, where are we here? Okay, so we want to pass down that it's selectable, or not, this case may be. Make again. Okay, so this is pulling out the fact that we're not actually using this for anything right now. So we can get the mesh component index from the messer, and then we're going to pass down opaque mesh component. No, not create. Set selectable, and we're going to fetch our component ID out of. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah, that's it. That's the one we want. And pass down where it's selectable. That will then, in turn, pass it onto its selectable component. So it's quite a tree of components talking to components we have here. Casey Muratori would not be happy with me today. And we're basically going to do the same thing we just did here with this, except rather than animated mesh components, it's going to be image components. And rather than passing down to mesh components, we're going to be passing down to selectable components. There it is. And we just need to rename this to image component index. And let's make it an index, given it is actually an index. Why not? I'm feeling generous today. Okay, next error, if you please, compiler. Ooh, how have I put this argument in the wrong place? No, but I can see how I got confused. We're going to have a lot to retest when we've got to the bottom of this. And one of the things is we might actually want more than, I've just had a bit of a thought, we might actually want more than two states here. We might want like, you know, selectable, not selectable, but still blocks clicks, and neither selectable nor blocks clicks. That's a future thing though. That's going to be very, very kind of like doable for future. And for now, we're going to make list items always selectable if they have a callback. Okay, and then this is going to be very similar to the image component that we're just pulling out. We're pulling out the reference to our selectable component from our mesh component and then just notifying it what it needs to do. God, how many places do I call this damn function from? How many times am I going to put these in the wrong order as well? Oh, that got quite far. Right, and now we have all the places where we're making mesh components, and all of them need updating to match what I've just done to this poor code base. It just occurred to me, I don't think I actually changed any code to make it so it would never be selectable. I made it deselect if you changed it to, hang on, let me just get the selectable. I made it deselect when you changed it from enable to disable, but I didn't ever actually make it so that it would never allow selection again. Right, I'm going to do a hack in here. You ready for this? This is going to be a right hack. I am going to lie and say that if the mouse is hovered over something that, no, I'm not going to do that. That'd be a terrible idea. I was like, hey, if the mouse is hovered over something and that something isn't selectable, then just lie and just tell the rest of the code the mouse wasn't clicked. And like, that's a terrible idea because you can drag off something and back onto it. Right, I need to try and figure out what the heck this even was. No, actually, that would actually work. I think. I'm just going to try something in the existing code base. Does this do something? No, I didn't think it would. I'm just like, I'm just gonna put what to do in here. So I need to think a bit about the best way to do that. Prevent use selection of unselectable objects. Are we including the header in here? Yes, we are. Look how many places I make objects. God damn. I mean, it might even be to the point at which I kind of like make totally separate functions and stuff that don't include these extra parameters because there's so many of them. Just doing this and I'm just thinking, I'm going to have to change this anyway and make it so that you can click through things. I don't know when I'm going to need to do that, but I have the feeling I'm going to have to do it at some point. Oh, actually, it would have been handy for that text component, the one that has the name of the building on it, because you never want that to accept clicks, ever. Okay, we have to be nearly there, right? There can't be many more of these. Come on. Oh, it's building! It's building! It's not going to be any different at all because, yeah, I haven't actually written the code that actually makes it so you can't select. But if we can get this building, we can get into the game, we can make sure we at least don't crash the game when we do things. Oh, well, those errors. Those were errors. Have I renamed it in the header file, but not inside the actual implementation? Yes, that's what I've done. Hey, just look at that. It actually appears to work again. Okay, so next up, we need to go to the world map screen, and when we actually make the buildings, we make them not selectable. And let's just, this currently won't do anything, but we'll make it do something in a second. Yeah, they're still selectable because, like I said earlier, this to do comment, we haven't actually made it to the not selectable yet. Now I could put the check in here. Okay, let's go. This took a while for me to implement the first time around. I'm going to have to really think about this. So in this state, we have a mouse cursor. We know where it is. But they're not clicking on anything yet. So they might be, say, hovering or something. So we're starting off with, we're hovering over nothing. And if we're interacting with something, okay, so this entire state here is fine. We can do anything with this. If we're hovering over the thing we're currently interacting with, well, that's never going to happen. Otherwise, at this point, we actually need to, check whether the thing we're hovering over is actually interactive. Did I not rename this? Is it called? Why isn't it showing up in the list? Wait, there's definitely a thing in here called selectable component selectable. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's that. And then we have, okay, so we're selecting something. So again, if we start selecting this advance, so on this frame we've clicked, and okay, that'll fix the bug I was kind of hypothetically thinking about earlier. And we're hovering over something. I think this is the thing where I need to make it, I need to do a selectable check in here as well, just to make sure it doesn't select things when you're kind of hovering over them. That's good. And I think if you've not selected anything at all, it early exits way higher up, and there's no way it could get to this code. Select the console, damn it. Okay, those are no longer selectable. Very good, very good. So next up, we need to go back into here, and when the camera actually kind of hits sort of hits home, I'm going to rename this to raising camera and raised camera. I don't think I've even once used this timer component inside this callback. I might remove it. Right, and then we need to go through all of the building mesh components, and every single one of them needs to be selectable. So yeah, I'm gonna go for all of them, and set them all to selectable again. Very good. I'm going to need an advanced declaration of this. Let's see if that works. What's this talking about? Oh, I deleted the wrong parameter from the function. What am I doing? Let's see how that looks. Okay, this shouldn't allow selection until the camera finishes moving, in which case you can click. Okay, and then I need to disable selection. So I'm actually going to roll this out into its own function because I'm going to be using it in a few places. Just bulk setting the selectability of all those objects. And let's put this pretty high up in the function. I'm going to be using it all over the place. In the event of saying no, we reset the camera and we also make the building selectable again. And then in the event the camera reaches the top, we make them selectable again. Okay. So boot the game up. It shouldn't allow us to click on these until the camera reaches the top, at which point it goes this way. And oh, that should have. That should have made them not selectable. Oh, why on earth have I done that? Obviously, don't just set it to true every time. Like, so it doesn't matter what you tell it to do with the component. It's just going, yep, it's always going to become enabled after you've changed it. And I'm like, why on earth did it? So those are no longer selectable. But if I say no, they become selectable. If I say yes, they remain unselectable. So we can have the cutscene play out without the player like doing other stuff in the background. Okay, so I'm just going to commit that because that's actually a lot of changes to make one tiny change. I'm a quick cursory glance over just to make sure I'm not checking in anything really cursed. Just a vague look. There's a lot of to-do comments in this code base. Just how you build something and then go, well, that works. And given I'm trying to build a game in about 70 hours, I don't really have time to rewrite that. But I should make a note of it because I do eventually plan on open sourcing this engine. Not that I think anyone in their right mind should be using it. You know what they say? You can learn a lot more from a mistake and a failure than you can from success. That'll do. Okay, so next up, I need to make these two characters kind of turn and, well, I need to reposition the camera and I need to have the two kind of walk to the center, Angel pick them up, and then carry them over the top. I'm probably going to reuse as much logic as possible for that. Yeah, see if I can reuse the animation code from the intro scene. Okay, let's make a new function. Actually, we've got the click bit, haven't we? Yeah. And then we've got the yes callback. This is where we're going to start doing things like we're going to move the camera. Let's go to the rooftop scene and let's steal its camera just verbatim because it was actually quite a nicely positioned camera. Yeah, that'll do. And I'm also going to collapse the map while they walk towards one another. So, actually, you know what? That's probably actually a good place to stop because we've actually done quite a bit today. I need to, you know, I did say earlier, I need to be careful and not overdo it, as I definitely have. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great Sunday, and I'll see you again some other time. I'll be streaming this again tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK time.